Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope we're all well and thank you very much for tuning in. Today on the channel we have something very special indeed. This is going to be a preview of the F14 Tomcat by DC Designs. Just Flight have been kind enough to send this preview build of the aircraft over to me to share with you guys, and it releases to the public on the 19th of August. So today we'll be having a look through what you can expect from this add-on when it does. When it releases, it will be available exclusively on justflight.com for a short time before it will then appear in the marketplace, which means for anyone with an Xbox, it should also be available on that platform when it does come out on the marketplace. Do note, however, this is a preview build of the product and may not be representative of the final release copy. So due to this, I won't be doing a full review of the add-on in the video, and although this build may be very close to what will be released, this is just to show you guys some of the awesome features this aircraft has in a relatively short video. So for example, since I actually received this build, I have seen that DC Designs have noted on their Facebook page, they've since added a automated carrier landing system, or ACLS, to the aircraft, and full simulation of the oleo strut compression sequence. So definitely still in active development, and he has noted that it will be updated further as time goes on and as the Top Gun expansion pack releases for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Very excited to see what will come once that releases. If you do want to see a couple of full flights I did with this aircraft, starting from cold and dark, click the label in the top right of the video now, or after you've watched this one, or check the link in the description, and you can play back the full live stream and see all the little details. I will also be streaming this aircraft again before it releases next week, so feel free to drop a subscription on the channel if you want to make sure that you don't miss that stream. One more thing to bear in mind before we take a closer look is that DC Designs have stated this is not a quote-unquote study level aircraft, so I wouldn't come into this expecting to see something on the level of what you might find in DCS, for example. I know there's a very good F14 in that simulator. It's really not something to compare to that. And I personally think it strikes a great balance, really, in Microsoft Flight Simulator between accessibility, fun, and depth. And Dean from DC Designs himself has coined the aircraft as mid-level detail for this add-on. Okay, with that said, let's get into it. So the add-on itself comes with the two earlier variants of the F14, the A and B variants, both of which include a handful of liveries. You can see these on the screen now. So there's 4 for the F14A and 3 for the B. They both have flight characteristics that are specific to each variant, and I suppose the main influencing factor for this is the difference on the engines between the two aircraft. So the F14A is quite well known and infamous for being a little underpowered and susceptible to compressor stalls in certain scenarios, and it's just fantastic to see that this has actually been fully modelled by DC Designs in this add-on, something we'll have a bit of a look at later on. And the F14B variant is generally considered the improved version of the A, with much more reliable and powerful engines. Regardless of this fact, both aircraft are still more than capable of reaching supersonic speeds up to Mach 2.34 at higher altitudes. So, first of all, taking a look at the external model, the F14 is certainly a very good-looking fighter jet, and the model here has done it great justice. Some would say, arguably, the F14 is the best-looking fighter out there. So it's great to see that DC Designs have made full use of the various tools available in Microsoft Flight Simulator, utilizing PBR, fantastic high-resolution textures, and they've used the new decal system as well, so you can zoom in very close on small details and text on the fuselage and in the cockpit, and still retain resolution. And yeah, it just looks really, really great. It's fully native to Microsoft Flight Simulator. It also has some really, really cool animations, not only just eye candy items, for example, the ladder to get in and out of the aircraft, of course, but also many functional items, such as the variable wing sweep, which is controllable by the user, as well as an automatic function. The refueling probe, which you'll notice has its own functional guide light, looks really cool at night. This will actually top the aircraft up with 25% fuel whilst you're in flight, or I believe you can actually use it on the ground as well. This is just a bit of a simism, I suppose, in Microsoft Flight Simulator at the moment. Obviously, we don't have air-to-air refueling, so this is a little bit of a workaround. And, of course, you've got the variable exhaust nozzle on the engines. Looks very, very cool when powering up. And, of course, the canopy itself. Just to name a few, this is definitely not the only animations that are on there. Before starting the engines as well, you will notice the elevator drooping down due to lack of hydraulic pressure, along with the engine exhaust iris at differing diameters. All normal and true to the real aircraft, so really, really cool to see this stuff modelled. If you're wondering, the reason for the differing iris diameter on the engines before you start, it's something to do with the way that the F14 delivers power to the aircraft. So again, very, very cool to see this modelled. And as you start the engines, obviously you will see these spring to life as the power is provided to the aircraft. You also have the option for chocks and tie downs, or chains in this case, covers on the engines. And when it comes to starting up the engines, a functional GPU has also been included that you could toggle on and off in the cockpit, same with all the prior mentioned items. And this means you can just start the aircraft anywhere you want, basically. Like on a carrier here, you can't get a GPU called in by the simulator, so this is a very useful little item. You can also even choose whether or not the pilots are wearing their helmet visor or their mask. Very, very cool little details. You're also able to use the weight and balance menu within the simulator to load the aircraft with various different kinds of ordnance, which are of course visible on the external model and modeled to the same standards as the rest of the aircraft. These are listed under the payload section when you open up the menu, and next to each individual load station, it is actually noted on there the values to use for various different available payloads. You can see this on screen now, but for example, the bottom 4 entries on the list are loading into the fuselage center line, and you can either load, in this instance, an AIM-7 at 510 pounds, or the huge AIM-54 Phoenix missiles that the F-14 was famous for carrying at 1,000 pounds each. Of course, some of you may know already, but the F-14 was famous for this because it is the only fighter aircraft that could carry these missiles. Also, to my knowledge, this may be one of the first payware add-on aircraft to be making full use of the new visual effects introduced by Asobo in Sim Update 5. So this means taking off on a wet surface, for example, will bring up water behind the tyres, and on landing you'll see a little puff of smoke as the tyres touch down. Very, very cool to see this. And it also has custom afterburner effects which look absolutely incredible, especially at night. The lighting and sound in this aircraft is also very, very nicely done too. Both aircraft engines, they do sound identical at the moment, but I believe DC Designs is planning on changing this in the future. But nevertheless, it sounds absolutely amazing, and yeah, definitely gives me sort of goosebumps when I'm flying this around. It sounds absolutely incredible. And in terms of lighting, it even includes the slime lights they're referred to as, I believe. And these are fully operational for use in formation flying and or combat operations. Moving inside the cockpit, it is much of the same story. Everything is nicely modeled and textured, and this even includes the radar intercept officer's seat, so the second seat behind the pilot, and both of which are operable. The main pilot seat definitely to a greater extent than the radar intercept officer seats, but nevertheless both are still functional and have working displays and various different switches between the two. You can see the canopy window itself is fully reflective and has been textured very nicely with some custom sort of scratch textures, and it also supports the native rain and ice effects in Microsoft Flight Simulator. The avionics have been modeled accurately as well. To my knowledge, I'm not an expert in F14s, but DC Designs have noted this is sort of within the constraints of Microsoft Flight Simulator at the moment, and also includes the heads-up display and various different analog instruments that have been modeled in 3D also. I will note, looking at the avionics, having spent some time with this aircraft, it does appear like they are actually based on the default gauges and avionics in the sim. However, he hasn't done what certain developers that will remain nameless at the moment have done, and heavily modified the avionics and gauges so that they resemble that of the real aircraft. Personally, I think he's done an absolutely excellent job here, and really looks very nice indeed. Obviously, this means that as these are updated going forward into the future in the simulator, this will open up more options and hopefully bring some more accurate and flexible features. There are a multitude of different display options on both of the displays, and almost every switch and knob within the 3D cockpit is clickable and has some function. A number of systems from the real aircraft have been modelled as well, such as Direct Lift Control, DLC, the Central Air Data Computer, CADC, and a basic version of the Automatic Flight Control System, AFCS. You can read a bit more about this in the manual, which is very helpful. And it's nice to see again this level of just added depth to the aircraft. This means that there is a functional autopilot in the aircraft with auto throttle as well, and it can even fly you down an ILS if you wish. So it is pretty robust, and you can fly it in a few different ways. The aircraft is compatible with the Hard Deck Simulations aircraft carrier module, also available on justflight.com. And this means you can simulate within the constraints of Microsoft Flight Simulator a catapult launch on a carrier, as we will see here in the background in just a moment. And you can also do a arrestor cable landing too. And they both work pretty well. Again, it is sort of working within the constraints of Microsoft Flight Simulator, but not only the F14 and DC Designs have said that they will update this once the Top Gun expansion releases, but also Hard Deck Simulations is committed to updating their product as well once more features become available. This also does include some carriers within the world as well, which is where we are in the video today. As you can see, as far as it goes, it does really work pretty well and does give the feeling of a catapult takeoff. I mean, I can't say I've ever done it myself in real life, but it feels pretty good to do. So I would highly recommend checking that out also if you are going to pick this up. They really go together quite well. Once off the ground, this thing flies and sounds fantastic and is capable of some extremely high climb rates and speeds, as you might expect. DC Designs have also modelled compressor stalls in this aircraft, as we mentioned earlier on, along with spin characteristics in this aircraft. So you can actually put this thing into a pretty nasty flat spin. And it was something this aircraft was quite well known for. The two kind of go hand in hand, really, especially in the F14A. You can see me trying to demonstrate this in the background here. What I end up doing is I actually put the aircraft into a stall with both engines operable, and as I hold the stick back, the aircraft just drops into a flat spin. And as I'm actually attempting to recover from that, I actually end up causing a compressor stall in both engines. You can hear as well, if you listen closely, there is a bit of a bang from the engines as the compressor stalls. And it's great to see stuff like this modelled in this aircraft, not only because we haven't seen a ton of it so far in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but it just shows the attention to detail DC Designs have put into this. Unlike some other developers that, again, will remain nameless, DC Designs, is clearly passionate about this aircraft and is committed to this product. And it's not just a sort of throwaway type add-on that is sort of just a toy and it looks good. They clearly care about the details, and I really appreciate that, and I think that really sets apart this aircraft from some others. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of what to expect when this aircraft does release. As you may have already guessed, I am super impressed with this add-on so far, and whilst I'm not super knowledgeable on fighter jets, I managed to pick this up pretty quickly in conjunction with the manual. And I really do appreciate, like I say, the level of detail this add-on goes to, and that little bit of extra depth to the simulation. So once again, it will be available on justflight.com for an exclusive period before it actually appears in the marketplace, and it will be priced at £24.99 British pounds, €29.95 euros, and $34.99 US dollars. And once again, the release date is the 19th of August. I'll include a link to the store page again in the description, along with the hard deck simulations carrier add-on if you're interested in that also. Are you going to pick up this add-on? Let me know down in the comments below. Once again, I really hope this video has helped you in some way or another. If it has, please do hit the thumbs up button, and if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down in the comments. I'll be sure to respond to every single one. If you want to see more flight sim content, please do consider subscribing to the channel. And I want to thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.